Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing Chinese idiocy and why it's impacting everyone else, especially down here in Southeast Asia. I'm making this video after I read a recent article from the Bangkok Post, bangkokpost.com. Article is titled, "Proof of COVID Jabs for All Visitors Revived." Quoting directly, "The new measures are necessary because Thailand is a major destination for travelers from many countries, including China, but the measures must be non-discriminatory," Mr. Anutin said. Quote, "The principle is there will not be any discrimination against a particular country because COVID-19 is spreading in all countries and the strains are similar." My question to that is, why is there a mandate at all? It's endemic. The people that want the inoculations can get them, and the people that don't take their own risks. And then meanwhile, if the strains are similar, what are we talking about? Why do we need this? Quoting further, "So COVID-19 should not be an issue of discriminating against any country," end quote, he said. He has a fair point on a certain level, except, and look, I haven't been real keen to talk about this to this point, but I think it's worth noting now because in my opinion, I think Thailand has taken two major steps back in terms of trying to revive the tourism sector and the economy in this country because quite frankly, the Chinese have just unilaterally decided to completely reopen after being totally locked down. And in my opinion, what looks to me from an outside observer's perspective, they massively detrimentally impacted their own people's herd immunity to a ton of different stuff. Yeah, you can give somebody a COVID test, I'm presuming, and they're going to come up with this, that, and the other thing, and they may come up positive. And again, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not claiming to be. I'm not claiming to be at all. I'm even taking off my lawyer hat on this one, and I'm just looking at this from a guy with just trying to have some basic common sense. If you lock everybody down and they can't interact, well, then people's immune system don't interact with each other. You know, it's my understanding people's immune systems have to be constantly at war. It has to be interacting with other immune systems, viruses, things out in the world. I don't know where we got this notion that we all need to be wrapped in bubble wrap and doused with Purell to live our entire lives. We can't do that. And then meanwhile, and I gotta be honest, let's go all the way back to the beginning of this thing. How did it start? Where did it come from? Why were the warnings at the beginning suppressed? Which there's evidence of that. We all know this, you know. And then meanwhile now, because this same country that took, in my opinion, an insane approach on dealing with this, is now reopening and is dealing with all the ramifications of reopening after basically having their entire population hermetically sealed and separated from each other, and is now seeing the detrimental impact of that. Now that that is occurring, now we down here in Southeast Asia, down here in Thailand, have to bear the brunt of that. Our tourism sector has to be detrimentally and adversely impacted by that. The results of other tourism countries that quite honestly dealt with this in a much more straightforward, upfront, and quite honestly more effective manner in the long term, they've got to be adversely impacted from being able to travel into Thailand because of this. And then on top of it, it also has this weird Orwellian feel to it where this is the country that, you know, has social credit scores and everything. And, you know, I'm starting to wonder, are you trying to export that notion to other places? Is this vaccine sort of mandate, which, you know, it's also been described as vaccine passports, you know, is this going to be utilized as the first step on the road to social credit scores throughout all of Southeast Asia? I'm not trying to move too far afield here, but I'm really angry about this one. And quite honestly, I've kept, you know, because there's nuances in the world. I am aware of that. And I've kind of kept quiet with respect to China. But now, just because China's decided to unilaterally reopen, and there's the possibility of Chinese flooding into Thailand, every country's population that wants to come to Thailand has to be impacted by that? I mean, come on. It seems rather strange to me. And on top of that, I just don't see the reason for the mandate in the first place. If you want to be non-discriminatory, don't make the mandate. Just don't have it. Because I don't see the reason for it to begin with. Again, I'm not a medical doctor, you know, and quite honestly, I'm happy to stand corrected. But on this one, having seen this for the past 3 years, and I've been paying attention to this at a very, very detailed level, having seen this for the past 3 years, I think this policy is the wrong move at the wrong time. It's not particularly what Thailand needs at the moment. Now, hopefully, it's something temporary. I'm going to go ahead and presume, because quite honestly, to this point, I do think people, especially here in Thailand, policymakers, have been operating in good faith. And that's something that I do not only want to believe in, but I've seen it. They have been trying. They reopened. We got things moving again. But this is not something to be, it's like the groundhog on Groundhog Day coming up out of his hole and seeing his shadow. Let's not be scared of our shadow here, because that's what's happening. That is what this phenomenon is. I think that this is too much fear over something that really isn't an issue, and we're creating a mandate that could have a tremendously negative impact, not only on the tourism sector here in Thailand, but the overall economy as well.